So I want to ask you about, you mentioned these four M's, the big
Yep.
motivating factors. So I'm going to kind of softly posit a fifth M, which I think will and I want to ask you about this, which is meaning. So you talked about, the idea of mastery, and you talked about money, and you talked about mating, and you talked about and you talked about freedom, essentially. But where do you get your meaning? What gets you up every day? Like, what we can have all these things, and we do. We live in the richest society in the history of the world, the freest society in the history of the world, and yet rates of depression are rising, rates of suicide are rising. Where are people missing the meaning in life? Because as somebody who's also very libertarian minded, I'm very much in favor of free markets, and I'm very much in favor of earning and entrepreneurship. We'll get back to all that in a second. But what gets you up in the morning? And it can't just be money, because you've got a lot of it. Otherwise, you would just retire, right?
Right.
And it can't just be freedom, because the truth is that you've got enough money to provide for you that freedom.
Right.
What makes you think, okay, I'm going to get up today and I'm going to go do some work? What gives you that sense of meaning?
So now we're going to the deepest question. I do a lot of book stuff. I'll give you what I think is the greatest answer to this question, and maybe the greatest book that nobody reads. There's a book called Civilization and Its Discontents by Sigmund Freud. And Sigmund Freud's been discredited in some ways, but the man may be the smartest person you'll ever read if you read Civilization and Its Discontents. And he says this question of what the meaning of life is has been asked time without end. And nobody can give a satisfactory answer. And he says maybe because there is no answer. But he says, I can tell you by the actions of we humans what our meaning is, and that is to be happy and to avoid pain. So it depends how deep you want to go. I'm probably searching for happiness, and at the core of every human action of those four M's, people perceive, if I get money, I'll be happier. If I get freedom, I'll be happier. So I used to have a more complex answer, but now I give a cliche answer. I'm probably searching for happiness and avoidance of unhappiness. I don't know. It's a good question. Are we humans so differentiated that meaning is different for everybody? I don't know. I think Sigmund Freud might be right.